Welcome to No Boxes, Just Verses, the podcast where we go beyond the bios, beyond the titles, and we explore the leadership lessons of today's most inspiring leaders, all through the songs that have moved their journeys. Each week, we bring you a new playlist of that leader's life. 5 lessons, 5 songs, 1 unforgettable playlist.
Let's put the pedal to the metal, let the top lean back. I don't know where we're going, I don't know what we're running to. I'm checking for you, how you feel about that. I think it's time we rendezvous.
And today, I am so honored to invite our guest, Ms. Panya Lei Yarber-King.
Yeah.
And I said King loud because my maiden name is King too. Although we just discovered that that's your husband's.
That's my married name.
So
Yes.
that means we're play cousins of some sort.
We're related for
We're
sure.
related somehow. Somehow.
Yes.
Panya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. And so we're going to jump into your amazing career, but we're also going to get a little bit into, how you became the leader you are, a little bit about like your personal journey and the songs that have motivated you, because I know this is one of the playlists, y'all, that it's got some gospel influences, and I like that. I like that you're bringing that into the show. So thank you for that. So let me give the listeners your incredible background. You have served as a technology executive and strategic operator with 20 years of experience driving large-scale IT operations, digital transformation, business process improvement, and infrastructure strategy. You currently lead Meta's Illinois data center operations, one of the company's most advanced AI-driven facilities, where you're responsible for server operations, engineering teams, and infrastructure performance supporting Meta's platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Meta AI. Under your leadership, the site plays a mission-critical role in scaling infrastructure that connects and empowers billions of businesses globally. And prior to that, you served as governance chair of Centennial Academy in Atlanta, completing an impactful 8-year term there. You are a proud alumna of Chicago Public Schools, the little-known school called Stanford University, and Harvard Business School, also another little-known school. You are such an underachiever, my God. You live in Naperville, Illinois, with your husband and your daughter. You're an active member of Jack and Jill of America, Black Women on Board Rising, and a life member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Yes.
Panya, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Man, listeners, I'm so excited to have her on this show, especially just with your background and really what you are doing. Everybody talks about AI, but a lot of people really don't understand, especially data centers. They really don't understand even what a data center is. So I hope you can get into explaining what is a data center, because I think that's important for people to understand that and why that is playing a central role in what's happening globally and how we are powering AI, how we are powering a lot of the things that we do all come from data centers. And quite frankly, there's a lack of data centers. Like there's actually more demand than supply. So you are at a crucial juncture just in businesses globally. So I want to dive into that. But before we do, we always got to go back to the beginnings. We got to go back to, how does little Panya start? What motivates her? So I want you to give us kind of like your background story. But the song that you picked for this part of your life is, I love this song, and I can't sing, but I do love this song.
Please sing it.
Keep on moving. Don't stop. Tie the hands of time. I don't know if that's the
That
chorus.
was excellent. It sounded good.
Keep on moving. Don't stop now. Soul to soul. That is a song that you picked to really talk about your young self and your childhood. And, I know you grew up in a single parent household in the south side of Chicago. Your mother working for over 40 years at the Social Security Administration. You really saw a lot of hard work ethic, but you also grew up in a place where there are some challenges. Yeah. So I want to understand your early journey. Definitely I could see why that song would resonate with you, but please explain to our listeners. And so we understand the foundation of how you are now this huge digital transformation operations. You are the future for so many businesses that power our world.
Yeah. So it's funny, you mentioned also that I had a lot of gospel songs.
Yeah.
And if I go back to the very beginning, when I think of gospel songs, I think of home. And I think that there are a lot of people who this would resonate with. What did we do in my household every Saturday morning? We got up and we cleaned.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
we played gospel music.
And you've heard gospel.
So gospel has been a part of my journey from the very beginning.
Mm.
And my mother didn't actually always go to church, but she always infused faith. And a lot of that was through music.
Mm.
And I also saw how hard she worked to be independent. My mother still is a very hard worker in a different way. She's retired now. But I saw her do everything that she could to be independent. And, she got help when she needed it. But she always made sure that she had her own place, that we had food. I mean, she was independent. And when I looked at how hard she worked, that was just something that she instilled in me, was that work ethic. And also, whenever you get to a point where, maybe something didn't work out, she always just picked back up and kept moving.
So she was resilient. She showed you
Very
resiliency
resilient.
before we even knew the word resilient.
Exactly. It's like, that's just what you do.
Yeah.
You keep working hard. And so my mother instilled that principle.
And so as a young kid growing up on the south side of Chicago,
Mhm.
she was instilling in you work ethic for sure. She was modeling it for you.
Yes.
And so as you were growing up and thinking about like what's your next stage, college and all those things, because again, you wind up going to some of the best schools in the
Mhm.
country. What is motivating you? Who is in your life is someone else in your life saying, yeah, you should try to go to Stanford? Like what's in your ear?
That's really interesting. So the Stanford thing, I didn't expect that. But one thing that my mother did, my mother was a reader. And although I didn't travel until I was an adult, I've always told people you can learn about anything and you basically travel through reading. I saw what was out there through reading.
Mhm.
And we did do a very short stint in California.
Okay.
My mother we lived in the city. She was ready to just look at something different, not be in the middle of the inner city. And so we moved to Fremont, California. And I had already started at my high school in Chicago, Kenwood, but we transferred me to Fremont and my mother transferred out there. And I didn't know anybody. And it is tough to transfer schools at that age. But I worked hard and one day I decided to go for the track team. And I just said, well, how am I going to meet people? I'll go run. I didn't know how to play tennis. I didn't know how to play sports where you really needed money to
Right.
learn. So I went out and started running. And I wasn't bad at it. I was actually pretty good. And so I got invited to an invitational at Stanford.
Wow.
And if anybody knows Stanford, you drive in on this road called Palm Drive.
Right.
And when you're from the south side of Chicago and you see Palm Drive, and I said, wow. And I remember after I ran there, I told my English teacher, I'm going to Stanford. And you know what he said to me? He said, you got to be real smart to go there.
Oh my. Oh, okay.
And then I figured for some reason he doesn't know. I knew. Right. So the interesting thing was at that time when you're so young, I didn't let all those comments get under my skin because there were more comments later. So we went back to Chicago. And I still remember there was a girl at my school. And I was kind of being made fun of because I said I wanted to go to Stanford. And this girl, just call her in. And that was the first initial of her name. And she said, you're smart, but you're not that smart.
Oh my. Okay.
And so, but I said, that was really where I felt I wanted to go. Now I did what most people do. I applied to a range of schools, but Stanford was always at the top of my list. And what came top of mind for me though, in the beginning was Palm Drive.
Wow. Wow. It's like a scene out of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or something, right?
Right.
Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
It really is.
Right. It is such a contrast from living in the middle of Chicago.
If let me show you better than I can tell you was a meme, it'd be your face.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just what you did for them. Like,
Yes.
oh, okay, you don't believe? Let me show you.
That's
Like, I'm not going to argue with you. I can tell you, you like probably didn't have big arguments. You were just like, oh,
No,
okay.
I did not. I didn't argue. No.
Okay. I'll show you.
Yeah, I was on the south side. I couldn't fight. I didn't really argue with people. I read lots of books.
I read books, but I couldn't fight.
I wasn't a fighter.
And it's also another example of you have to expose young kids to things. You necessarily, if you hadn't had that exposure in that track meet, I don't know if Stanford would have been on your list.
It would not have been. I was literally just amazed by the campus, the beauty and the scale. And then it became a bit of a challenge when my English teacher told me how smart you had to be. Because I was like, well, I've already got that. Check.
Right. So that's the issue? Because I'm cool on that. So what else could be the issue? Yeah. You get to Stanford.
Yes.
Like, wow, on so many levels. But you don't just like get to Stanford. You get to Stanford and you are majoring in like some pretty heady STEM stuff. You get a BS in material science and engineering, which is like, you know, a pretty smart degree for somebody who your English teacher was like, I don't know if you're that smart.
Yeah.
It was like a smart major by far. And you are kind of on your way through your career. But, you know, you have some like lives, like we say, a lot of the leaders in here, lives, and you had a tragedy in your family and you had to kind of go through that stage in life. So your personal loss, but also you have some successes in college. You joined Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Yes.
There's a lot of ups and downs. Take us through the ups and downs of that period. And the song you picked is Real Love by Mary J. Blige.
When I think of college, I do think of that particular song. And what resonated with me is just searching for something real, right? Love, real friendships, real connections. And I did make those in college, right? Those are friendships. People who are texting me right now, like, where are you? So that's what came to mind. But when I think of college and some of the things that you mentioned, like, okay, I majored in material science and engineering. One of the reasons I got through those times was because of people like you, trailblazers, people who went before me and people who said, I'm going to lift as I climb. I didn't do that by myself. And actually, Lakeisha and I, who you've had on your show,
we have Lakeisha Gunther for
Lakeisha Gunther.
Yeah.
We have a really good friend in common. Her name is Vanessa Riley. And she is an amazing author. She's also a PhD. And when I got to Stanford, I was working in my engineering building and Vanessa had an office in there. She was in a different major, but she had an office. And she was working on her PhD in mechanical engineering. And I met her, and Vanessa and I would pray before working on problem sets. And she would speak life into me. When I would literally be like, I don't know what I'm doing here. She's like, yes, you do. Come on, let's just sit down and do it. But first, we're going to pray. And it was literally through support like that, and of course, God, that I got through. Getting my engineering degree at Stanford was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
It's interesting because it seems like when you talk about your childhood and your faith, you were on the pathway that was actually really destined for you. And yes, it was hard because you're going to have other hard things in this journey of where you are now. But it really just prepared you.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
This is going to happen next. And so I'm sure looking back on it, it's like, if you accomplish that, like these other
everything else
pale.
Yeah. So navigating personal loss. So my grandmother passed away when I was in college. And honestly, I did not know how to handle that at first. But that was when I discovered the power of therapy. And what's amazing about Stanford, and it feels like it was way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
They were very vocal in letting us know what services were available to us.
Yeah.
And I utilized those services. So I think the major learning for me is you do not go through grief by yourself.
Yeah.
You are not alone. Don't stay alone. Reach out for help. Tell someone that you need help. Yeah. I mean, sometimes maybe you can't even make the call, but you can tell someone who cares about you.
Yeah. That's such a valuable lesson. And to your point, especially the years that we're talking about, that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
That there was a recognition and a support that was provided to you that, yeah, you should go talk to somebody. And I know in certain cultures that going to talk to somebody in therapy is like a taboo. Why would you need to talk to somebody?
Right.
But that you early on were able to do that, and it probably helped the rest of your life.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Because I hadn't experienced a loss like that. So my grandmother, I mean, she was always there. And the one thing I understand more that I didn't get now, that I think many people understand, now that I have a daughter and I see how she interacts with my mother, there is just nothing like a grandmother's love.
No,
It is so special. It is so unique.
I agree.
And I didn't realize it. Like, wait, what is happening? It is that lenient love
Yeah.
that I'm going to give you things and, I'm not maybe overburdened myself with having children to raise. So now I can pour all of this.
Right.
It is just such a unique love. And I realized I was missing that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
such a bless. I mean, for some of our listeners, unfortunately, maybe they didn't know their grandparents, but for those of you who did, and if your grandparents are still alive, I highly recommend to give those people their
Yes.
flowers and spend the time with them because it's such a blessing to have people from generations have dealt with things that you're going to deal with to be able to pour into you. You are so, I mean, I feel so fortunate that I knew both my grandmothers.
I knew on my mother's side, I knew my great great grandmother.
Yeah, that's unbelievably a blessing.
It is such a blessing. And if you have those grandparents in your life, listen to those stories, learn about them. I didn't even realize how significant it was that I could sit at home and say hello to my grand, who was my great great grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to know your history.
Yes.
So that's a powerful lesson. So we'll move on to now you graduated and you go to work, basically. And the song that you picked was Can't Hold Us Down by Christina Aguilera.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that period and why that's.
That song reminds me of just my first stint in corporate America, my first real stint as a manager. And when I think about that song, I think of something that happened at AT&T. I wanted to pursue a promotional opportunity. It was probably the second promotional opportunity I was pursuing in my career. And I told my manager, and I always believed in talking to my manager and sharing my plans. And I told my manager, I want to pursue this opportunity. And he said, "You're not ready." And I thought, first of all, you don't know me.
Wow.
And so that was my first lesson or one of my early lessons in learning. Don't let people speak things into you that you know are not true. And I had just felt in my spirit I was ready. So I applied for this job. It was my first people leader opportunity. And as soon as I applied, very soon after, I actually got a rejection letter.
Wow.
I got that rejection email. But I was persistent. When I read that job, I said, I know I could kill this. So I got up from my desk and I had found out who the hiring manager was, went to his office, knocked on the little frame and said, "Excuse me, hi, I'm Panya Yarber, and I'd like to talk to you about this senior manager role that you have posted." I applied and looks like I didn't get an interview. The person who was hiring, he looked surprised, but he was willing to talk to me. And after I got the rejection letter, I got the job.
Wow.
And that's from that was my interview. I sat down right there, shared my background and said, "Here's what I'm going to do for you." And so basically, I wasn't going to let my manager hold me down.
Right. Can't hold us down.
No.
And you advocated for yourself.
Yes.
Which again is a skill set that a lot of great leaders have, is advocating for themselves. And so through there, you start, you're working, you resting in your career, you eventually go back to school and you get your MBA
Yes.
at Harvard, which also a little slouch school because you're really good at picking those type of things. You're armed with the Stanford undergrad degree, this Harvard MBA, work experience. You go further in your career, but let's talk a little bit about your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
The song that you picked for this next phase of your life is called God Provides by Tamala Mann.
Mm-hmm.
On the personal side, you start a family.
Yes.
And sometimes life lifes when you start a family.
It does.
So talk to us a little bit about lifing and also how that can impact a career.
Yeah. So I was pregnant with my daughter and I had all the plans. I had plans for my baby shower, which my best friends were planning. And I remember, I wanted to be in control like a lot of leaders.
Yeah.
And my baby shower committee kicked me off of the planning calls. They were like, "Why is she on here?" I asked too many questions, but I had to let go. And I just had all these plans. And I was headed to work one day when I had an ultrasound, and I was dressed for work. At that time, I was in a more formal environment. I had my briefcase. So I'm just going to run in here, get this ultrasound. And when I went in there, the doctor said, basically, your baby has stopped growing
Mm.
and you're going to the hospital. So you felt that. You felt it.
I felt that right in my heart.
And I remember looking at the ultrasound and I said, well, she's moving around.
Ooh.
But that was when, because I think I probably said, well, I have to go to work.
Mhm.
But then I realized, no, he's saying you have to go to the hospital.
Right.
Right. And I was 30 weeks pregnant. And they put me in a wheelchair, wheeled me under this tunnel to the hospital. I had no control over the situation. That is when God provided, because all I could do was pray. And I asked all of my friends to pray because I was not prepared to bring my daughter into the world 10 weeks early. At the time, I just didn't even know, like, who does that? My daughter ended up being born 9 weeks early. I spent just a few days in the hospital. I got to 31 weeks. And I had placental abruption. I had preeclampsia. I had more things. And I had these amazing doctors, and my daughter was born early. When your child is born that early, all of the adjustments you have to make are pretty long term. There's lots of doctor's appointments, and that first year or two was just all the extra things along with a newborn. I had to get my daughter to an ophthalmologist, a pulmonologist, a pediatric gastroenterologist, all this stuff. And so quite naturally, when you're driven in your career, you have to think, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to have to let some things go. And as a leader, I really learned delegation then.
Yeah.
Because there were some things I couldn't do. And one night I remember I was working on a presentation, a PowerPoint. And I remember when I said, I'm going to do it. I probably told my team, I'm going to do this. And my daughter was crying. And I realized it was like 1:00. I can't do it. And so I remembered feeling worried, but I reached out to someone on my team and I said, hey, Kathleen, can you do this? And she said, of course, I got it. And then you also realize that there are all these people who want to help you.
Yeah, you're not letting them.
I wasn't letting
You're
them.
not letting them. Right.
Yes.
Right. So again, that power and that lesson of it's okay to ask for help. You don't have
Yes.
to be Superwoman.
I don't have to do all of it.
You don't have to grieve in silence. You don't have to put everything, there are people, you've been good to other people, because I know for a fact that you said her name is Kathleen.
Mhm.
Had she been in that same situation, you would have been the first one raising your hand to help her out.
Yeah.
Because that's just who you are.
Mhm.
But it's hard for us to let people do that for us.
Yes.
So you had to learn that lesson.
And I did. I had to.
And thankfully, we can share your daughter is now 11 years old.
She's
and
11,
thriving. And,
taller than me,
right.
and smart as a web, smarter,
Right.
the smartest person.
Good.
Yeah.
Thriving and all the
Yes.
things. So this is a happy story.
It is a happy story.
Happy story. And so let's kind of get into where you are today. You've got this big job at Meta,
Mhm.
and you're mentoring a lot of people. You are yourself looking to be on boards. You've been on nonprofit boards. You've accomplished so many things in your life. I think, I want people to kind of hear from you, where you kind of are in your life. The song you picked is Say Yes by Michelle Williams featuring Beyonce and Kelly Rowland. And I also do want you to give them a little bit of just, before you get into that too, what does it mean to run it? What is a data center? I don't think a lot of people understand that.
They do not. And because I once heard someone say, well, something wasn't important because you just sent it to the cloud. And and what I tell people is the cloud is actually a real physical place. And if I had to break it down, a data center is a building with computers, there's servers, and all of the applications that you use run on those. And I also think it's interesting, and just so people have perspective, because I see now in the news where people don't want data centers in their neighborhoods, they don't want them close by, and then they'll pick up an app and say, I don't want this data center here, and click hit, and they're using a data center when I do that, right?
Right.
So I manage a private cloud, and it is lots of infrastructure. It is more computers than you can even imagine. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
And every time you use any application, when I think anything you're using online, right? If you're not using a typewriter to type your letters, to type your emails, you're using a data center. When you go to work, you're using servers, you're using computers that are housed somewhere else.
Yep.
And what you need is a team of engineers, you need facilities people, and that's what I oversee.
Yeah.
And every time you use an application, you're using a data center. Yes. If you want to use them less, then you got to close your applications.
Thank you so much for breaking down data centers, because I know there's a lot of people listening that didn't want to admit they didn't know what a data center was. And so you broke that down expertly.
Good.
For if my mom's listening, Mom, I think you understood what she just said. I know my mother's listening. Her last name is King. So
Okay.
she's,
All right,
she's
Mrs.
claiming
King.
you to all her friends, by the way.
Yes.
Letting you.
Yes.
But where are you now? Like, you've had such an amazing career. Tell us where you are today. What is the Panya of 2025 like?
So, as you mentioned, I am on a couple of nonprofit boards, and they're all around areas that I believe in personally, right? So, I am thrilled to serve on those nonprofit boards. I would like to serve on a corporate board. And so, I am in Black Women on Boards Rising, which I love. And it is an organization that is cultivating the next generation of corporate board directors. And we have this amazing opportunity to learn about boards, what's it like to serve on a board, learn what they are, learn about the different committees. And we get to hear from people like you, trailblazers and pioneers. And so I really lean into the rising cohort that I'm in. We have an accountability group that meets monthly. We have a speaker series, we have coaching. And so my goal is to really take advantage of something that's been valuable that has been offered to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And total shout out to Merlene Santil and Robin
Yes.
Washington for starting Black Women on Boards. Those are the ultimate trailblazers
Yes,
there.
yes.
Well, listen, we've had such a good time getting to know you. I always end, my show and my segments with how can we support you? Where
Mhm.
can we find you and follow you? And I ask for one song that brings a smile to your face. Any genre, anytime, doesn't matter. You hear that song and you're smiling. So take us home.
So you can follow me on LinkedIn, Panya Lei Yarber-King. I guarantee you, I'm the only Panya Lei Yarber-King on there. Love to be connected with people on LinkedIn. And as far as a song, I will go with Walter Hawkins. This is going to take me back to my roots when we would clean on Saturday mornings, and there's a song called Be Grateful. And for me, it is just a reminder that the song basically says that God hasn't promised you that everything would feel good,
Yeah.
but that we're going to be grateful.
I'm going to be grateful.
We're going to be grateful.
Well, you know what? I'm grateful for you being on this show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. And your playlist is spiritual. I mean, that's what I love about this show. You learn so much about people's upbringing and musical taste and what makes them happy. And so your playlist, I'm glad you bought a gospel playlist to the show. And we're going to sum it up with your 5 songs and your bonus song.
Okay.
Your first song is Keep On Moving by Soul to Soul, followed by Real Love by Mary J. Blige. Next up is Can't Hold Us Down by Christina Aguilera. 4th is God Provides by Tamala Mann. 5th is Say Yes by Michelle Williams, featuring Beyonce and Kelly Rowland. And the last one, the bonus, is
Be Grateful
by
Walter Hawkins.
And that is the Panya playlist. So listeners, you guys are in for a treat with that one. Panya, thank you so much for being on No Boxes, Just Verses.
Thank you.
You have been such an inspiration, and we're continuing to support you and root for you because we really are trusting our future to people like you. And I know you are grounded in faith and joy and such a good human that I know that we're going to be okay.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to No Boxes, Just Verses. And if this episode moved y'all, please share it, rate us, follow the show on your favorite platform, and we can keep building our leadership playlists together. So you can find me, guys, on Instagram as Shannon Nash1 and No Boxes, Just Verses on Instagram. You can also find me on LinkedIn as Shannon Nash ESQ CPA. You can also find No Boxes, Just Verses on LinkedIn. You can visit our website at noboxesjustverses.com. Finally, don't forget to check out the show notes. The show notes are super important because this is where the playlists will live. You will be able to get these playlists on Apple and Spotify. You'll also be able to follow up and see how to reach out to the guests, follow them, and support them. Until next time, I need you to stay unboxed. You come for the stories, but you stay for the playlists. I'm Shannon Nash, and I'm out.